Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another stream. It is Thursday night, and we're back for more Scrabble action. So, in terms of today, as we said on Tuesday, we were going to analyze the second tournament that I was in over the past month or so, which was the SPC, which was held in Baltimore, Maryland. Kind of called the Nationals, I guess. So that is again a major event with 31 more games to kind of try and win. Again, on Tuesday we went through the 31 games, or some of the 31 games of World Cup, which was at the start of this month, and the following week SPC came around. So yeah, I've got through, I've analysed a bunch of these games already, so I'll be able to share some of the stuff with you. Again, we're going to pick some of the more interesting ones where things kind of happened, at least. Again, we'll do our best to pick the best ones. So maybe like 6 or 7 games again tonight that we'll kind of go through or touch upon and show you kind of how they went. Again, we're not going to go through any of the games that were on stream. Especially in this tournament, I didn't actually win any games on the stream. I went 0-6 in terms of games on the stream, so that didn't quite go so well. But I don't feel like I played particularly badly on any of those games, or a lot of the games were kind of a bit out of my reach, as it turned out. So don't necessarily feel bad, so to speak, about that. But yeah, there is some more games that we're gonna show you tonight. So I have my my scorecard for SPC, and if I can not drop it on the floor, that would be actually more ideal. So I'm just gonna pick that up. So yeah, I have my stuff here, and I have all my games that I have here as well. So I'm gonna pick the more interesting ones, as I said. We're going to be going through them on Quackle, through Quackle, the Scrabble engine for you as well. So yeah, we're going to be doing that tonight. I will admit I'm not feeling 100% right now, so I'm not going to try and stream for as long as I did on Tuesday, but maybe a couple of hours will suffice for now. So yeah, you can put in the exclamation point standings in the chat, and that will give you, I can actually do it right now, this will actually give you the results in its entirety of all the NWL divisions that that took place in the main event for SPC, and also the CSW division. So this year there were actually 2 divisions for CSW, which is good to see. Hopefully that'll be a a regular fixture for in years to come. And yeah, that is kind of the main thing. I managed to finish in 4th place in the end as well, so it was Obviously wanting to win the tournament, but fourth place is again not a bad position to be in. Yeah, so I guess we can start talking about some of these games. Again, if you're out there in the chat right now, please feel free and say hello in the chat if you are there. But yes, as I said, 31 games in total. And I'll give you a quick rundown of each game that happened too. So let's begin with game number 1. I played against Fidelis Olotu. One of my good friends from England. Managed to win with a 500-point game. 77 points was the spread there. Got very lucky. I managed to bingo 4 times. He managed to keep consistently scoring, but the 4th bingo I think was the main one there. So got off to a good start against Fidelis. Game number 2 was against Tajimul Shah, who I've never played before. He's actually said he was inactive Scrabble tournament wise for a little while, but I think he's looking to come back with more regularity. Yeah, I had this one kind of under control most of the pretty much the entire game, really. Although the spread was only 62 points, I was leading by about almost 150 points midway through. But just kind of my letters kind of fell apart a little bit, and then I had to make sure of the win. So yeah, got a 62-point victory against Tajimul Shah. Round number 3, I played against Winter, who I played a number of times in Albany in July as well. So, and he was also there in St. Louis for World Cup. Yeah, I got lucky here too. I got 3 bingos to his 0 and won by 217 points. Yeah, very fortunate to kind of have all the right things at the right times, and yeah, put me at 3-0. Round 4 was against Alex Seaholm, who actually was the eventual winner of this CSW division. It was a game on the stream, and as I said already, I went 0-6 on the stream, so I did lose this one. This was my first loss. I did lose this by 137 points. I feel like I probably didn't have too much going on here in this one. He ended up getting 3 bingos to my 1, and I couldn't quite get to win the race for the 2nd bingo. And yeah, paid for that in the end. And then game 5, I played against Ben Schonbrun. So I'm actually going to analyze this one. So we're going to start today with game number 5 against Ben. I think this was a interesting game, so I think we're going to go and analyze this one. So let's move over to the quackle screen right now. Good evening, everyone. Yes, thank you, Muffway Tentacle. Good to see you here. Again, anyone else that may be here right now, please feel free to say hello. Okay, well, actually, I'm actually the one who goes first here, so let me, sorry, Ben is the one that goes first here, so let me just swap these around. Okay, so I think I can make this a little bit wider. Okay, so let's start going through these moves. So yeah, his first move was nifty for 30 points. Yes, okay. And then my first rack is this. Not a very interesting rack whatsoever. Yeah, very uninspiring with the U and W combination on my rack, and as well as some other kind of ugly tiles. I do end up playing Wifey here. I think WOF was slightly better, maybe partly because it's a bit more defensive, and also takes out the spot above the eye of Nifty. I did like well, it does keep an E as well, and an I. Wifey just keeps NOU, which is not particularly strong. So I can see why the engine would prefer wifey than WAF. Ends up being like a 5-point error. So wifey was what I played here onto the Y of nifty. Next move was Ben's, and he played eel, E-A-L-E, for 22 points. My next rack is this. I guess in the grand scheme of things, with keeping NOU, AEIS was actually a relatively good draw, although it doesn't really give me too much. Yeah, looking to get rid of some vowels here. I ended up playing Uoi for 16 points. It's a solid move on that one. And then Ben bingos. So he ends up playing Siamese here. Anagram of Miss Ease. So Siamese comes down for 65 points. I am very close to a bingo on the next turn. I have this rack here. Wasn't quite sure what I should be playing here. And yeah, looking to get rid of the R for sure, and maybe the H as well to maybe score points with, especially with this S open in the triple lane. I made a move here that the engines don't particularly like, has to be said. I actually did Shri here. There are some other better scoring plays like Nearish for 40 through the E, which would have been a lot better, I think. And even playing Han for 29 above Siamese would have been better. But yeah, this is a bit of an error here, about 7-point error. And yeah, was definitely a little bit paranoid, maybe trying to block the S at all costs. But I probably didn't need to. Okay, so Ben now plays David above Siamese, and this was a turning point in the game. Now I have this rack. I have Arabins, and it took me well, I'm obviously trying to look for bingos that might play on this rack. My potential saying I think it doesn't like you leaving all the Siamese overlaps open and the double. That is definitely true. I guess I kind of had very much like tunnel vision almost with this move. I was just trying to block the triple rather than looking at the other places that Siamese also opened up. So yeah, I would need to work on that one, I guess. And also Han would have scored more than Shri by like 8 points, so that's to some degree significant, right? That's 8 points is a lot to leave on the table. So yeah, I have this rack. So yeah, anyway, I have this rack. Arabins is my only 7 here. Looking for bingos onto the E of Eel, and the A or M of Siamese, or anything else, or even the T of Nifty, but I don't see anything. But there's only 1-star play here, and being 84 points down already in this game, it was very important that I found it, and I did find it. So let me just show you what it was going to show. There's actually only one playable bingo, and it's through the DE of David and Siamese, which was Banderas. That is the move that I had played for 62 points. Initially, when I looked at it, I thought it actually opened the triple at the top. But then I kind of thought around a little bit, a very short time longer, and then when I looked at it again, then I was like, wait a minute, this is actually positioned pretty well. So ended up doing Banderas for 62. So happy with that one for sure. And then he plays AG, he plays AG right here for 13 points. So yeah, very curious move. Looks like he's fishing for something. He's getting close to something. But at the same time, luckily for me, I did draw the Z. So he puts AG in that spot at the perfect time for me. So I ended up drawing and playing, well, I ended up playing the best move here, which was Zag and Zek. 58 points here, so I end up now going from being 84 points behind, and suddenly within 2 moves I'm now up by 23. So a little bit of a comeback there, and I've managed to come back. But Ben has other ideas. By the time I hit the clock, he immediately starts playing down a bingo, and it's Janitor. Oop, not like that. Janitor for 91. The only playable bingo that he had. So no-brainer from his point of view. But yeah, puts me back behind again by 68. My next rack was this. Not particularly great. There's ways where I can get closer to a bingo on the next turn potentially. Some letters here that I would like to get rid of. But yeah, especially with 2 blanks on scene, and the fact that Ben just played 7 tiles. He's got 7 random tiles now. I felt like this is the opportunity to get rid of the V, get rid of the G, get rid of the L's, try and turn over some tiles and go for the blanks myself. So I played Village onto the A of Siamese. So after some simulation, I believe this was the best play. So yeah, I was happy with that. And you can see by the simulation it's pretty far ahead of the next one. Okay. Ben then plays Precode. Again, that does mean that he doesn't have an S or a blank, so that's encouraging for me that he didn't at least draw any of those things. And he is clearly having the same idea that I have. So this was my next rack here, had Walnut plus an X. So yeah, there's a very straightforward X spot above Davit, XU. But I actually don't think it was the best play in this this time around. So if we simulate this, XU for where is it? 36 is actually a bit further down the list. You can see it's down here. Oh, that's not it. Here. You can see it's right there. The other XU that plays next to Janitor is actually slightly better, even though it's 5 points less. Which is interesting. But in any case, Walnut playing off that E of Precode is the best move here, especially because you put Walnut here. You're actually setting up the X above the U, so it's actually a very sneaky move. Not only that, you're digging into the bag for 6 tiles for the blanks, and yeah, kind of giving yourself ways to get with the X next turn. So yeah, I don't necessarily know why the other one would be better, but you can see that the simulation is now kind of shaking out a little bit more. We're now at about 700 iterations. XU is coming up as well, but yeah, it does like Walnut and things like Lux for 24. Where's that? C10. So yeah, next to Janitor as well. I think it wants to really go for bingo here. But yeah, Walnut looks like a very strong play. Maybe it doesn't want to block the Wawa hook. I don't know. It is weird. I'm not really sure. Like, why would it not want to block that? It doesn't feel like it's actually any worth, like, really the eye there. Unless there's some kind of, like, draw that I would be getting that would score a lot of points, but I don't really see anything. But yeah, I don't know. But XU is still a very solid play nonetheless. Yeah, the higher, this XU is better now, yes. Yeah, Quackle is a little bit slow. Yeah, I'm also streaming, so yeah, of course it's taking up some of my CPU juice. But yes, XU is a solid play here. Next, he actually plays Bray, B-R-E-Y, through the E of Zek. So, looking like no vowels, maybe. So yeah, tough move there for Ben. So yeah, with XU, I ended up keeping this, and I got very lucky. I actually ended up drawing E blank from the bag. That's about as good as a draw I could ever hope for in this case. And it now gives me bingos in multiple places, which is exactly what I need in this case. So the thing is, I burnt a little bit of time here because you can see from my point of view, although it's not that bad, but there are a slight shortage of. Wait, let me just say, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, there is a slight shortage of vowels. Or at least good vowels. There's only one A and two E's left, and 6 of the 9 vowels are actually O's or U's, which is not particularly great. So I was thinking of playing my highest scoring bingo here of Twangle for how much is that? A lot of points, 86 points. But the E in that spot is very, very scary, right? It's very scary to put that E there. Anything ending with ED, ER, ES, all those letters are still there, and also the blank as well. Especially with my opponent playing Bray, probably short on vowels anyway. This is going to be a welcome sight for him. So I wasn't really sure about playing that or playing the next bingo that would have been Wetland for 9 fewer points, but putting the D in this spot, which is going to be very difficult to kind of use, especially if you have any big tiles. You're going to have to burn some vowels with it, or you're probably going to have an E. You need to have an E or an O, sorry, an E or an A to potentially use that going through the D. So if we kind of get rid of all these other options here and we simulate this, see there's a 9-point difference between Twangle and Wetland, but it still prefers Twangle because it scores so much more. But you can see that the win percentage is still in favor of Twangle here. I feel like this, the win percentage difference will probably be a bit less if you could somehow infer that that your opponent has a fair number of consonants potentially. But you can see that the valuation which is the equity, I guess, is actually higher with wetland, and the win percentage is still a little bit less. It's like 1.5% or so. So Macondo actually agrees with that. It's Macondo actually says it's a 2% error, win percentage error. Here you can see that it's actually not that far apart. It's actually now down to about 0.5% now. So yeah, despite the 9-point difference, it actually is potentially very close. Actually, it's kind of minimal difference. So yes, because I was worried about that, I decided to play wetland, because also I am still going ahead after wetland for 77 points. So I'm gonna go with that, and hopefully not give away like a big 50 point play. So that came down. He ends up playing cat, QAT, through the A of wetland as well. So that's what happened. And oh, that's not right. I end up having this rack. So this was difficult because I didn't have enough space to play rotunda through the T of janitor. There were no playable bingos through the I of janitor also, or even the D of wetland. I can't really do too much with the B at the top of the board also, and I'm now 17 points behind. But there is a very sneaky play again that I ended up finding. So if we look at it here, there is actually one playable bingo, and that's unorder, and that fits in column B in between Shri and Village, which is one thing that I found. I luckily found that one, and that was 75 points for me. So now I just got two bingos back to back, and now I'm sitting on a lead of 58 points. So I'm now at 399, and Ben is at 341. I don't know, I can't remember the exact letters that he had, but you can see that with the unseen, well, actually you can't really tell from here, but if I just show you that I had the word unshoot on my rack, you can see what tiles, I mean, this is my rack, but it's actually Ben's turn. But you can see where the letters left. It can potentially be quite dangerous. And he's gonna, well, he actually has only 2 tiles in the bag, so he's gonna have to calculate and work out, are there any ways he can open up the board and, say guarantee, but give himself a chance to play bingos in 2 different areas of the board to make it unblockable for me. So yeah, he decides to attempt playing go here, opening up the go hook or the bank, of course. There's enough space up here between F1 and L1 to fit a bingo in there. So that scores 9 points. It now kind of puts Ben almost all in on a bingo to try and win this game now. So he does that, and as we said, I have this rack which is unshoot, and it doesn't fit anywhere. It would have been nice if you played something like ego, and then I would have had unshoot. They would have, and egos that would have fit. Can't have it everything though, of course. But yeah, with the unseen tiles, now that he's played 2 tiles, it now means that I have full knowledge of what tiles he is holding, and I quickly work out that he has the word compand and a go, which fits through here, so it would fit here, and it would be a winning play if he well, if he sees it, and also if I leave it open. So it seemed, I mean, first of all, that was the bingo, and I looked at the D of wetland, and I didn't actually see anything that would have played, or any of the other floaters that were potentially available. So it seemed like a no-brainer to try and block this top triple or at least block it to a degree where bingo cannot be played. So I end up finding the best play here, and it's a relatively straightforward word of hobo through the B, scoring 39 points, and giving some good tiles for the end. So that's what I did. So here, Ben was actually kind of running a bit out of time here. He didn't actually have a playable bingo here, but with his time running out, he ends up playing Pomaded, and in his haste, he ends up leaving the C on his rack. So with the C on his rack, I kind of look around the board and see if there's anywhere that he can play the C, and I think the only place he can do it is here with Okas. And with 4 tiles on my rack, there's not all that many ways to actually block that move. So what I ended up doing was actually playing the U in the spot below that. So I made run, blocking and attempting to stick Ben with the C. So I did run, and then obviously he needs to pass because he doesn't have any other options available. Here, I decide to go with my highest scoring play of Zags for 20. Again, I don't need to play out straight away. I can start eating away at the spread. So up by 46. Back to me again. I have T and an N, and I play my highest scoring play again of Toe. That doesn't go out, of course. That is the play that I made. And then, last of all, I played off the N, my highest scoring play again. So that's what I did, and ended up winning 386 to 479. So ended up ramming, getting a lot of spread at the end there as well. So yeah, that was game number 5. That win put me at 4-1. So yeah, good position to be in. Round number 6, I played against Eric Kinderman. Yeah, one of my good friends. Yeah, we have a yearly fantasy Premier League or soccer game that we always play as well with him and all his friends as well. So yeah, we always love playing and watching or just talking about soccer with him a lot. Yeah, he was very close at the start, but I managed to break out with Mirza, Mirza for 78, and then Analytes and Dakering down the stretch to end up winning by 118 points. Fortunate with that one. And then the last game of day 1, I played Stefan Rao, and I managed to win that one by 59. A game that I was ahead by 50 to 80 points throughout, so it was not too much danger, at least, but had it somewhat under control for the most part. So 6-1 for day 1, pretty good. I can't remember if I was actually leading or not. Maybe I was first or second, I can't remember, but I was right in the mix. So yeah, day number 2, I'm playing against Dennis Ikegaregor, and I managed to win that one by 26 also. So yeah, I got very lucky because I was actually losing I was actually pretty close, but he bingoed and then I was losing. I did actually at one point during the game exchange 5 and kept a Z and an X on my rack, and then the next move I X-bombed him for 57, and then after he got his first bingo, I Z-bombed him for 67 after that. So after 2 bingos that he had played, I was actually level with him because of that. But then I got down my bingo and caught up with him after I made an error, and then I managed to get Lubicia down for 92, which ended up allowing me to get in front and stay in front. So that was game number 8, puts me at 7-1. Round number 9, it's against Sami Okasaga. Had a very narrow, well, very close game actually. Actually, this is actually going to be the second game I'm going to analyze tonight. So let's show you what happened in this game. Okay, so Sami goes first here. And I'll make this a little bit wider, so, oh, that's not it. Okay, so this is game number 9. I'm currently 7-1, so yeah. Sami plays Furry first with an I, so he plays Furry here for 30 points. With my first rack, I am hoping for some favorable floating tiles, and fortunately he does play one of them in the R, and there's in fact 2 of them there. I end up playing my highest scoring bingo of Trencher for 73 points, which was the best play, opening up the top triple as well. So that is what I did. And then he plays Pitta through the T up top. So now I'm kind of trying to balance my rack here. I've got a kind of interesting rack here with a lot of consonants and really with one vowel on the board with Trencher, the E of Trencher there. That kind of allowed me to kind of sort this rack out a little bit faster. There were some other ideas of maybe playing Prick from the P of Pitta downwards, but I decided to play Nixer through the E, which scores 26 points. But I think that the engines do prefer playing Prick here, since the X is actually worth a good number of points. And playing Prick also gives another spot for the X with the I, where the I is placed. So there's additional kind of like bonus points for doing that kind of thing. But Nixer is still pretty strong here, keeping the C and K combination, very strong combination to have, especially since I just had the CH combination on the turn before. But yeah, Nixer's still one of the top players available in this move. So that's what I did. Then Sami plays oh, that's not it. Tia plays Blad for 28 points. So I did keep CKR. I did not draw particularly well here. I did draw AFII. Again, not necessarily the worst thing at this moment in time, but decent options to score points with because I kept the C and the K together. However, I decided not to go through with playing Brick. I decided to play Barfy onto the B, keeping the C and K combination. So Barfy is right here. So yeah, it scores a little bit less compared to Bricky or Brick. And I think in this case it's probably better to just take the points here. The CK combination with the I is not quite as strong as you probably would think. in terms of making up a 9-point deficit on the scoreboard. But still, it is not far off the other top 2 moves. So that's what I did. Played Barfi. And then he plays Fauve here, down from the F. 22 points. I have this move. Oh, this rack here, sorry. Still have the C and the K together. Not too many ways to score points here. The first thing that kind of came up to my mind was to play something like a vowel, keeping A, C, I, K. I feel like I'm probably keeping the C and K almost religiously here, or keeping it for too long. I'm only up by 19 points, so it's not even like I should be playing any specifically any aggressive way, or any kind of defense or anything like that. So yeah, decided that I was just going to try and find the highest scoring play that I could find, and I do end up finding the best play according to the engine, which was a rack for 34 points, keeping IO. It does actually block, close down the board quite significantly here, and it puts me up by about 50 points. So I really like this play, and not only that, I'm actually keeping an I and an O, which again, both of them play next to the K to go down to the triple. So there are a lot of good things available, good things with this rack, this move here. Although it does not maintain any constants, but still, 34 points is a lot of points on this board. So I played that. And then Sammy actually bingos on the next turn. He plays a natural Grunion for 73 points. I am very close to something myself, and I have this rack here. After kind of looking at the tiles that were open, kind of decided that there was no bingo playable, and then with Grunion just being played, it seems like it was a no-brainer to play above Grunion and play Moyle, which actually was the best play here. So that's for 38 points. I'm actually still in front, despite his bingo. Then he plays Gyve, G-Y-V-E, onto the view of 4, 22 points. And here is my rack now. So after playing Moyle, I end up drawing AAS blank, which is not bad with a four tile pull. So before Gyve, I was obviously looking at bingos that would fit, and I'm looking at Forbes because that's really the main place to go. And I saw Assegai, and was like, yes, that has to be the right play. And it probably will be the play that I would make if all stayed the same. But then he played Gyve, so this actually gave me a place to play an alternate spelling of Assegai, which actually has 3 A's in it. So something like this is actually a word, and one of the A's would have to be a blank, of course, and it does score slightly more. So if I just show you the generated options, all the options above 4, underneath 4 is 76, and Assegai or Assegai's here scores 1 point more. So I'm going to remove all these other moves, and you'll be able to see what it really likes, because Assegai for 76 was actually, well, not this one, I actually decided to play the other one. So let's play this instead, and it doesn't like my positional play of Assegai. It actually wants me to scoot it over 1 more. I'm not actually sure why. I feel like the A is probably more dangerous. Assegai does pluralize to an S, and I feel like if you shifted it more to the right, it would open up more. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but answers on the postcard about that one. But in any case, Asagai's going through the G is actually still a better play. It's actually ahead by about 4%. So something like this would have been better, or even playing with the S on the nearer to the triple. But what really kind of spooked me here, even though it doesn't really give away many floating tiles whatsoever, what spooked me was the J and the Z that were still unseen. Again, after playing Gaive like that, I don't know how often he really would have the Z or the J, but I was worried about a potential 80-point play coming down on the triple, and kind of being back to where we were before this bingo coming down. Hi to Hop Up the Bed in the chat, good to see you here. Again, anyone else out there watching, please feel free to say hello, and yeah, join in with the whatever thoughts that you might have about these games. Yeah, we're going through some of these games right now from SPC that just concluded last week. On Tuesday I came back and talked about some games from World Cup that was the week before, so I'm just kind of analyzing some of these games with you. But yeah, Asagai's through the G here looks like it's very defensive and doesn't give away quite as much on average potentially, so I think that's probably why it likes it. But yeah, live and learn, I guess. This is a very, I mean, defensively it looks not too bad here. So yeah, I decided to play Asagai. Well, actually now you can see that the engine now prefers this position rather than shifting over to the right a bit, so I guess I was right on that one in the end. Okay, so Asagai comes down, then Sammy plays wide here for 36, so I'm now up by 36 points. I don't particularly draw great here, I guess. It's not like disastrous, but there's not that many things I can do. It did take me a little while to kind of figure out what I should be doing on this rack, because he just played wide, and you can see now that with the board, how the board is, all of this space here, all this space here on the right now is kind of like dead at this moment in time, unless you kind of play across from the C or the D or the E or something, or even if you go down with Grunion. There's not that many spaces to bingo now. It's not that easy. And I now hold a 36-point lead. So I decided to play something that would at least block the D and the E a little bit more, potentially. So I played a relatively small scoring play here of Told, unduplicating my O and L, and putting the T here means that it's actually a bit more difficult to play underneath to making Eta or Eth. There's only one H and one A left. So I decided to play this, but you know, defensively it looks very good on the face of it. It does like booty playing through the Y of Furry because it scores a lot more than a lot of the other options, despite it keeping 2 L's. There are no more L's anyway, so it's not that much of a problem. And it doesn't open much up either, so it's a good way to get some points down on this board. But you can see Told here, it's not bad. It's not the best, but it's a decent move. So I played that for 14. Up by 50 now. Very quickly, we end up realizing that Sammy has an A. So we end up playing Vita and Eta for 30 points. Funny because he played Pitta at the top of the board also for 30 points, and he played Vita after that. But yeah, he narrows the difference to just 20. Okay, so because of Told, I kept BLOS. Wait, this is not my rack, but this is I kept BLOS. I end up drawing H SPC. On the face of it, doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. But when you start looking around the board and you're like, let's look at what happens with Grunion, and now you can actually play words underneath here for a lot of points. You now have kind of the letters to kind of really hit this spot pretty hard on a very tight board, and that's doesn't really give you many points. So I have things like Posh or Hobbs or something like that, but I decide to play what the engine likes most, and it was to play Hope. That is what it liked most, or at least what Macondo liked most. So yeah, Hope scores well as well because you can play something underneath with one of the S's that you have, and you can put the E. There's lots of E's left, lots of O's left, so you can play like a 3-letter word underneath Hope. With I mean, I have the B as well, so an O or an E would actually score a good number of points again, underlapping it and kind of recycling the points that are on the board or the points that you made. So you can see now with the simulation that Hope is now the top move by a little margin, actually, by almost 2%. So yeah, I played that, and it puts me up by 60 on this very tight board. He very quickly extends Mill to Milts, which wasn't didn't seem like a big threat whatsoever, but once you look at the tiles that are left, it's not great. But we'll just quickly type in my rack here. So my rack isn't particularly good, but you can see with the letters left, there's not many great options here. A lot of vowels. You can see 12 vowels, 5 consonants. So now I'm like, this is not actually a bad place to be in. The problem is that I can't really play my cue as of right now. I'm looking at what ways can I lose this game. I mean, the cue stick is potentially an issue. But there are ways that, because there are lots of vowels on scene and a blank on scene, something relatively likely to happen because there are more than one of these tiles. Something like Does will fork the board. Now that bingos will now play down from the D and the O, or another D, the other D, or the blank can play on the other side of Does. That becomes a bit of a problem. So I was considering playing Beds. At least this means that nothing can go on the end of Beds, and I just need to deal with these floaters if need be, and even then it probably won't score that much. The E would be here, which is not a unique position because at the bottom of the board there's also another E. So if there's something that would fit, you would probably play at the bottom anyway. And also this B going down here doesn't hit any double word score, so it wouldn't score that much. The problem is that keeping NNQSS is not great, although there are lots of vowels in scene, so it might be okay. But I decided to try and get rid of my duplicate tiles here and play Snib through the Eye of Fairy. I did have to burn one of my S's. Again, it's worth it. It's worth it here if I have to, and to play it off for 7 points. The S's are not really worth much on this board at this moment in time. So Snib was a good play here. And it does turn out that Sammy does play the word Does through the Z, which now causes me a few headaches, because this board that looked like it was almost dead is now looking like there is a bit of life to it now. And not only that, I also draw the J. And if I show you the pull now, the pull obviously is still very vowel heavy, but now the unseen tiles are not that bad. I mean, if he's holding some of the consonants, it's or at least 2 of the consonants, then he could potentially bingo here. and I'm only 22 points in front. So this is not a nice position to be in at this stage. But the J is going to come to my rescue, because the J is probably the most, well, apart from the blank, of course, the J is probably the most valuable tile now. Although it generally isn't that valuable, kind of generally speaking. But because Joy and Jab is available in this spot here, and also Ahi and Joe is also available down here as well, there's almost a guaranteed 40 odd point play in 2 different places with the J. So that kind of gives you a bit more now, because now a bit more to work with. Because one thing I was also considering was just to block this Dozes hook if I could just play like OS or something, but it doesn't stop bingos that could play anywhere else, and then I'd be stuck with a J in the queue down the stretch. So, being 22 points in front, I decided to play the J and play JO. And then it becomes a choice of whether or not you want to play, where do you want to play the JO. So there's 2 different options you can see here. Joy, playing onto the wide guide, or Joe here, and Sujo is another option. That is definitely not something I should ever be doing, so I'm going to disregard that one. But you can see with the simulation, the 2 41 point plays should be kind of up there. Joe's is also an option here for 25. It really wants to damage the floating tiles of the D and the C of Iraq, or even the W potentially. Although Jones is another option, which does actually empty the bag. Doesn't allow your opponent to fish again, although a bingo for your opponent now will be that'll be it. But yes, Joe. I ended up playing Joe for 41, and not Joy. Joy actually ends up simming slightly worse here than Joe, although it's about the same. Mainly because the M is unseen, and again, it probably doesn't matter that much because the M played here actually gets rid of one of the 3 constants that is unseen to me. So I feel like he probably will want to keep the M if he had the choice to. So I might as well take the extra 2 points, but I didn't really think about that. I thought he might just play something like MO or ME here. An easy way to kind of get rid of a high scoring tile and one of these multiple E's. So I decided to do that here instead. So I played Joe for 41. Now the score is 394 to 331. I'm now 63 points in front. And then Sammy bingos. So we're not over the line yet. He ends up playing Degummed for 70 points, which I put him on hold for about 3 or 4 minutes. This is a very, very crucial move, because allowing his move to be played here, which, and again, just first and foremost, Degummed is a word. So I actually wasn't 100% sure, but because if I let it go, I'd be 7 points behind, or if I did challenge it, I would actually end up being 12 points behind. I felt like this could be a problem if I do challenge it. So let's just have a look at what I'm looking at on my rack. This is what I have, and he has EOU from the bag. Good evening to Axel Typo. Sadly, did I miss our games? I did not analyze any games of ours from World Cup on stream, at least. Anyway, I obviously analyzed it on my own, but I didn't analyze it on stream. I have maybe 6 games to look through, And of course, you weren't playing in SPC, so there'll be no games of ours that will be featured here tonight. But yes, I mean, feel free to analyze them on your stream if you so wish. Yeah, this is the situation now because I'm holding onto the queue. And yes, I'm already doing SPC. Yeah, I don't want to drag out my analysis streams too much. I just want to keep it to one stream per tournament. Especially with these 31 games, I might be here literally all month doing this. Yes, no problem. So this is what I'm looking at, and again, luckily this time I say luckily, but I did this time keep like maybe 8 or 9 minutes at this point, so I have time to think about it. I have time to mull over it, time to think about is degummed actually a word, which I was like 90% sure, or 95% sure it was good. But it was just like, what if, could I still win? How sure would I be if I could win still, or if I could still win by at least 5 points? That if I challenge degummed, I'm still gonna be ahead. Okay. So we're going to go through this endgame here. The most obvious play here is to play Qin and Shan. And I'll be completely honest here, I did not actually see this spot. I did not see the spot with the Q. I was thinking about other things. I was actually very concerned about the fact, I was actually more concerned with the fact that Sammy had the EOU and it only plays meow or meow. So that was the first thing that I saw. Maybe if he had multiple outplays, I would have just looked at my rack and was like, what can I play? Where can I play this Q and where can I win? So now I'm actually looking at ways to block meow. So that was the it's kind of weird because it's now like you're trying to compute all these things in a relatively short amount of time. There's a lot of different things going on, and then this was just the first avenue that I had gone down. Again, if I had like 20 minutes to think about this endgame, I'm pretty sure I may have just seen QIN, and that might have just been the move I would have made. Maybe not, I don't know, but I wanted to explore the idea of this. Nothing to compute. Wow, let's look at it. So at the moment, if I don't play Shan and Qin, I actually don't have anywhere to play the Q. So now I'm actually having to look. So now I have to do two things. I mean, if you just assume that I can't play the Q, then this would be the way. This would be the number one thing to do. But what you would need to do here first is now look to block these two M's, and also give yourself an unblockable way to play the Q. So I'm looking at maybe playing like Eon down here, which gives me QIS, but you know, I mean, he could play something like GUE up here and that would block it, so that wouldn't work. I could try and play something across here, but it wouldn't score enough points. I could play something. Well, I can't. I have to play through. I have to do something with this M here in this spot. If I play something like Oni, I don't have the I to play. I don't have the I to play like you. I could do something like. I could play something like 1Z. Oh, if I put it in the right place, sorry. Right here. I have the I, but it can be blocked. So, and then I just get stuck with a Q. So then I was looking at things like Ein, but then I'm like, I need to keep the I here. There's no other way. I need to keep the I and keep the Q. And what can I really do to really do anything. So I was thinking of maybe playing like Een here. It sets up QIS, but again, GUE would probably block something. Until I was like, wait a minute, why don't I play 1? This scores 17 points. It's supposed to be up by 10 points if I don't challenge degummed. I have QIS here, and more crucially, I actually have QIS here. So I can play QIS more and ends. This is not going to be possible to block because there's nothing that plays through this U. Anything with GU or Go or Geo doesn't touch the Q here. He could play Een, that gives me QIS and Eens. You could play Moo, and I have Mui and Cheese or something. Mo gives me QIS. Mui gives me QIS next to it. So there's a few other things that, yeah, or even if you want to play on that side as well, you could play, if you play like OM and OE, emo, that would still give me QIS. Or, yeah, and I didn't see any way that he could actually block this. And it doesn't give away any kind of high scoring play either. There's no real high scoring play for Sammy here that would outrun this sequence, I think. So, still had a few minutes left and decided that I'll play 1. So if you ask the championship player here what the thing to do is, there's a lot of different ways to win. And 1 is actually an option that would win the game. I actually don't think that any of these, I don't think this actually is, it might, well, I don't know, you have to do more thinking, but QI would still play here. If you play Q, that's really the main thing that would stop it, but it doesn't, I mean, you also play QIN S here, that might be what this is thinking. I don't know, if you simulate this, does it come up with anything? Well, it just says that everything wins, so it's not really correct. So if we kind of, if we kind of go back, but 1 actually comes out on top. I don't actually know if that's technically correct though. With 32 point thing here, maybe that's not necessarily right. Wait, let me see what we can do here. Can we refresh this a little bit? And how about the bad is saying, this is the kind of move I try in an end game and I realize I mistracked my opponent goes out. Yes, I did have enough time to actually double check that he had, those are the 3 tiles that he had. Very important, yeah, very important. So yeah, I ended up playing 1. I played 1. I think, as far as I know, I did go through this in Macondo, and actually it does say that 1 was actually the best play. So I ended up whiffing on my easy win here of just QIN and Shan, and actually finding something that was actually better for spread. So I played 1. And then he ends up playing Moo, M-O-U, for 5 points. So now the scores, I'm now 5 points in front. I have this rack, and then that doesn't leave me any choice right now to for really anything apart from playing my Q. But now that I ditched the N, I only have one play to play my Q. That's QIS for 19 points. And then he goes up with his highest scoring play of 15. And I end up winning this game 430 to 423. So Yeah. That was, I potentially could have completely ballsed it up by not seeing QIN and Shan, but I ended up finding a sequence that was, I don't know if it was slightly better or not, but it was good. So QIN would have got 29 points, Meow was 6, and then it would have got another 8 points from my tiles, so that's a 15 a net point, a net of 15 points. So technically this scenario actually I got a net of 14 points, so actually maybe it wasn't better after all. I mean, it would have had to mean that Sammy had to at least find this this outplay of OE that would give him back more points. But either way, it was very close. It was a winning sequence, and I went through this many times on my score sheet with what happens after 1, what does he do, what are all the possible ways that he can obscure this spot, and would it still give me back something? And luckily, everything that could possibly happen, it didn't do enough damage, so I was okay. So I ended up winning this game, game number 9 against Samuel Kasaga by 7 points, putting me up to 8-1. So looking good. You would have won SPC if you saved your energy. Well, I'm probably what? We played 32 games in Albany and 31 games in St. Louis, and we're in game 9 here. So I would have. This would be the 72nd game that I've played, tournament game that I would have played in about 5 or 6 weeks. But still, I got the energy. I have the energy to. Well, maybe I didn't have the energy. I didn't find the easy play, but you know what I meant. So yeah, up 8-1 now. I'm in good shape. And then I'm up on stream against Mpaka Jack in game number 10, and I lose this game by 103. Not in the game plan here to lose this game to Mpaka Jack. Again, this was on stream. He ended up bingoing twice early on to get himself up to a 90-point lead. I actually ended up chickening out of punties, Puntees, although it actually would have given back a lot of points because it was kind of like above a triple, and it would have given away like 60 points underneath, and I was still going to be about 20 points behind. So either way, it would have been a very tough task to actually win this game. I ended up bingoing, and then he ends up playing through my bingo with the Z for 69 points on the triple, and then it got to the point where I was actually fishing for a bingo onto the O that I was 1 tile away, and I I didn't hit it in the end, and yeah, he ended up as a big winner. So second last of the tournament there, 8-2. And then I was actually asked to play on stream again against Rashid Balagan, and I ended up losing this one by 8 points. It was very close. I was actually leading for the most part, including a bingo of 134 points. Querist along the triple. But yeah, I still managed to lose this game. He ends up with Senorita near the middle, taking the lead. It's very close, and suddenly my letters just kind of fell apart. I just kept drawing E's and I's, and could not draw the coveted A's and O's that were still lurking in the bag and were on Rashid's rack, which would allow him to score points on whatever openings that were available that were more lucrative. So I ended up losing this game by 8 points, and it was my 3rd game on stream at that time that I went 0-3, and I'm now 8-3 going into lunchtime day 2. the next game, let's see. Next game is against David Whitley, round number 12. I'm going to analyze this game. This was just a fun game, just in general. There's not all that many things to kind of talk about, but I just wanted to show you what happened in this game. And actually, David actually went up to the photographers or whatever, or the division leaders, and was like, I wanted to take a picture of this this board because it was very fun to play, and he wanted to, you know, just show people what happened. So let's quickly go through this. So yeah, I'm gonna relatively quickly go through this. So yeah, he plays Quilt, 48 points. I have this rack here. Looks like a pretty good rack to start with. I'm hoping for the right certain floating tiles, and I do get one with Quilt. So I have Matt Fallon for 64, which I find that's the best play in this one. Then he plays VHM here. My draw was absolutely atrocious. This is my rack. So yeah, I ended up playing FAA, F-A-A, partially because I think that he has an E, and he's just setting up a big 4-timer for himself. But yeah, I mean, just trying to get rid of some of these A's. So I do that. But yeah, doesn't make a difference in the end with what I did, because he ends up bingoing with Cruised as a 4-timer here for 105 points. Now putting him up by 90 points. Let me just commit this move. So yeah, he's up now 171 to 81. The board is not great for me, and my letters are not ideal, but I do draw into the X though. So I have this rack now. Oh wait, sorry, that's not it. I have an extra O here. Sorry, I had 2 O's. I have this, so yeah, relatively straightforward move of just Ox for 38. So yeah, that's what I did. That's 38 points. And then he plays Wurzel. So yeah, that's that. This was annoying because actually I had this rack here. I had Patuti through that eye of Quilt, and now that you block the eye and have this board, it's actually not very good. It's not very good now. But luckily I find the highest scoring play and the best play here, which was Tiptoe for 38 points through the eye. Not only does it get rid of some of my kind of bad tiles and scores well, it opens up the right side of the board more too. So it does a lot of good things, and that comes down very quickly. Then he tries to block it a bit. He plays Gion for 27. And then I have this rack here. So I'm not sitting on anything particularly great. There's no easy way to kind of open up the board too much without using my S, which I do not want to do because that just blocks up the board again. So yeah, I'm now staring almost down the barrel of a gun. I'm like, what do I do to come back from this deficit now? Because the Q is in a really awkward space. The kind of this stuff above Fallon is not good. The C is here, the J is here. You need S's at the bottom of the board. It's not looking good. It's really not looking good whatsoever here. And my tiles are not in good shape. I'm gonna need like maybe 2 more moves at least to try and get something close to a bingo, and even then there might not be any space. So I have the idea now of like, okay, well, if I can't do any of those things, then why don't I try and go or think about extensions to quilt? So the most obvious or probably well-known extension, it might be the only one, I don't actually know, but is bed quilt. And then I looked at my rack and was like, wait a minute, I have the B and the D already here, and there are what, how many is that 9 E's. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I score well on this board and go for scoring, getting an E and keeping the B and the D of my rack without kind of arising suspicion that I'm trying to go here. I also do not want to use the S, but I want to make the board in a way where if I don't hit it, then I can probably use, then I want to try and use the spot that it gives me to maybe use the rest of the tiles to try and go for the E on another turn. So I came up with the idea of just playing Vac. It only plays 2 tiles, which is really the main problem here. But if it does that, I have the S, and maybe I can play something with the other 5 tiles on my rack if I don't hit the E, keeping the B and the D on my rack, and then playing a 5-letter word here that opens up the board and kind of diverts attention somewhere else. So yeah, I play Vac here. It's a it's not necessarily a play that the engine likes, but yeah. So that's it. I play that, and then David plays Toya, only for 8 points, so I'm pretty happy with that, at least. He says after the game, he said, I was actually pretty happy with Toya. They actually kind of got rid of a lot of my bad tiles and didn't open anything up and block things. He was very happy with that. So this is one I kept, and lo and behold, I end up drawing an E. And he doesn't understand recursion, yes. So I end up drawing an E, which is great. And I end up drawing an N to go with my G too. So this is now looking a little bit better. I don't have to go fish again. And as far as I can see, there were no bingos, so there's no reason why I shouldn't play bed quilt now. So generate choices. Bed quilt by far the highest scoring play and the best play here on this move. 60 points. And now out of nowhere I'm now tied. David now plays with fitted on onto the D of bed quilt, and with my GNOS leave, I got pretty lucky here. I ended up drawing drawing HIR. So if I alphabetize this for you, this is what I have. So yeah, I was looking at this and was like, I'm 26 points behind. What should I be doing on this turn? Because I have things like shoring and mat felons. I was like, is mat felons a word? I'm pretty sure it is. And I also was like trying to rack my head because I'm looking at the B and I'm like, I feel like there's something here. And then I finally come up with bighorns, and that is the word here. So there's 2 different ways here. I think horsing we can agree that is not. It's just a much worse version of shoring. So that's not really a consideration on this one. But I was like, well, there's 2 S's in a blank and scene. I mean, the B is not easy to bingo onto, and shoring kind of takes out this S hook, and it kind of blocks the bottom part of the board off pretty well. And it scores 90 points. It's kind of unassuming. It just feels like you're just scoring some points here, like a 70-odd point play, but it's actually 90. It's actually a lot of points. So when you count that up and compared to bighorns for a 95, which kind of, if you kind of look at it, how it plays on the board, you're now opening an S floating tile, which I didn't particularly like. It's actually 5 points as well. You might be blocking this E or any bingo ending with an S, but it's like, it doesn't feel like it really does enough to kind of mess up this board. From my point of view, anyway. Maybe you guys might disagree. and you might take the 5 points here. But to me, I'm only 26 points behind. I think the 5 points is really that much of a difference in this like scenario. So I would rather just mess up this S hook here, and just any bingo with an S would have played. So I think I needed to play this down here, and I wanted to play this, and that's what I did. And funnily enough, the engine does not agree with it. They agree with this. Again, there is some kind of, maybe there's some kind of human element of just being like, I just want this to be blocked. Whereas the engine would be like, who cares? These are all the words that would fit, and these are the words that don't fit. So why are you worrying about it? But again, and it can work it out with 41 unseen tiles, no problem, but I can't do that. But maybe I just want to just close off the bottom part of the board and just be like, I don't have to think about this now. Whereas bingos with a B, pretty unlikely. Or anything with an E here is going to open up some triple, so I'm not too worried. This gives me a good lead, so let me just do shoring. I'm going to take a 64 point lead on this board, which is not looking great. And I'll do that. So I do that, and then he plays Wiggy onto the eye of Fitted. And then I draw pretty well here. I draw this. And then I'm like, oh man. Things like open side don't fit. Disponi doesn't fit here through this E. I have no bingo through the B here. Spino doesn't play up here either, and I'm like, oh man, if I played bighorns, then Spino would have played, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I? Now I'm going to be in a slog here that I probably shouldn't have been if I just took, you know, the highest scoring play. But there is one star play here, and it's Disponi for 76 points on the other side of the board through the E of Tiptoe that fits, and I found it. So 76 points was the play for me, and out of nowhere I get Bed Quilt 60 points, 90 for shoring, Disponi for 76, getting very lucky here, and out of nowhere I'm now up by 114 points. And then he ends up dumping a bunch of vowels here. He plays Yowie for 37. Very nice play to get rid of those kind of tiles. And it didn't stop there, because I have this rack. I now have this to play, and then if you look at what is available, Air Tram for 63 was the only playable bingo here, and that is what I played. 63. So now it's kind of gone a little bit overkill, but I'm now up by 140. And I'm just going to play out the rest of this game. So he plays Dirk for 42. Weirdly enough, I say weirdly enough, but maybe it's not that weird. But I end up drawing into Insaner and Ensnare. But the space on the board is now kind of run out, and there's 2 tiles in the bag. You can see the tiles left in the middle of the screen. A lot of vowels. So now I'm actually up by almost 100, and I'm now thinking, if I just play one more tile, can I potentially bingo him? And there are ways I can bingo. Tournaments like this are really important to get a good spread. So I decided to go for it. I went for it. I just started to play an N. A lot of bingos will play onto the D up top with any of the, well, a lot of the letters that I are unseen to me. So if I have the B, I have Brandies, Brandeis, Aranias wouldn't fit, but there's well, actually with the E, I have Arsenide, Trizine, Nis, I wouldn't fit. Islander with the L. Crucially with the O, the one O that's unseen, I have Anodizer through the D and Baronies on the left side. And U, I have Uranides. So there's at least a bingo that would fit onto the D of Dirk. And it seems like the easiest way to bingo, so it could just get blocked, but I decided to play off the N and just play Nai here, not play Nay. Don't disrupt this lane. Just for 5 points. Let's just see what would happen, and I still leave one in the bag. In this case, he ends up playing Baye, B-A-Y-E. So this actually does take out the D floater of Dirk, and I do end up drawing the L. That would have given me Islander onto the D, but I don't have a playable bingo elsewhere, so I would have either had Rinsable or Alieners through the B or the E, but they don't fit. I did notice I was actually one letter away from playing Illyrians through the O. I needed another space. There needs to be like R-I-O-N-S, and it would have just about fit. But I found a not necessarily the best, but it was the right lines of what the outplay sequence that I should have made. So renail and then just putting the S on Wurzels or whatever would have been the best play here. I ended up not looking quite that far, and I ended up just playing nail. It's not the biggest mistake in the world, but it was a 5-point error. He plays Unco, and then I play Urs and Wurzels for 25. So that's the that is what happened here in this game, and I ended up winning this game 406 to 526, 120-point win against David Whitley, where if you kind of cast your mind back to where I played VAC, it looked in real bad shape here. I was in real bad shape. I was down by almost 80 on a relatively tight board with no S. So yeah, very lucky. Those 4 moves here with Bedcourt 60, 90, 76, 63, and then threatening even in the bingo at the end was beyond anything that I would have hoped for in this game. And David actually even said to me at the end, he was like, during the middle of the game, he was like, oh, okay, well, I'm up by 80 or 90 points. At least I'm going to get blown out in this game. That's what he said to me. And then he somehow, with the tile gods, decided to rain on him. And I guess if you want to count 120 points as being blown out or not, but it was a significant spread for me in this game. So was lucky in this one to get the win, which was game 12, puts me up to 9-3. 9-3. Okay, so the next game was actually against Sam Rosen, game 13. This would have been one of the ones I would have wanted to analyze on here. It was a very interesting game, but various reasons. One thing, he actually played a phony. He played a phony 5, which I challenged off, and then well, I tried to score as much points as I could, and then because then he played a correct move, and then he actually drew really well, and then bingoed after that, putting him slightly in front. And with the game kind of almost lost, and he was under a little bit of time pressure, he actually made a mistake with the Q. With the Q that he played the move before next to the triple, he ended up not playing onto the Q. So like, I'm just gonna try and illustrate here. The Q was here and the W was here, and he missed the fact that I could have played Waqf for 57, which ended up winning the game. He could have just played anything that would have played anything under there with his eye. It would have won the game. He decided not to. So I don't want to necessarily highlight all those things in other people's games. It was a very there's a high pressure moment, especially for him towards the end of the game, running out of time and things like that. So I don't want to necessarily highlight that as well. But I did manage to win that game by 12 points. Puts me up to 10-3. Game 14, I played against Brad Whitmarsh. And yeah, he bingos 3 times in the first 6 moves, putting him up by almost 90 points. So I did manage to bingo near the end to narrow the spread, but I still lost by 54 points. So succumbing to my 4th loss, which is at the end of day 2, ending up on 10-4. Alright, so... And also I didn't want to go through the game with Sam because we're going to go through a game with Sam later on. But to start day 3, with game 15 was against Wasim Khatri. And this is probably a game that I will want to go through here. Actually, I might end up going through this game and just going through the Sam Rosen game at the end, and that might be actually it. So yeah, let's go through this game against Wasim. So yeah, Wasim a very strong player, and always a danger no matter what time in the game it is and how far behind he is or how far ahead he is. It's always going to be a very well fought game. Okay, so let's do this here. So I'm starting the game and let's reset this all to 0. Okay, so my first rack is this. No bingos playable here with this rack. Kind of thinking about playing short. Do I play long? And then when I was like, you know what, I could just play fee odds and keeping ES, some scoring points, and I'm keeping ES. That looks like a very strong play, and actually this is what the engine likes. So fee odds was what came down. The next play from him, he ends up spending like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but he ends up playing requoted here for 89 points. So if you kind of say that this is his rack, he actually does end up realizing after the game is over that he ended up missing 4 timers through the E. So he had requeered. I think that was right. Did I put that right? Let me just make sure that I not talking at my butt here with what actually happened. Yes, so that is correct. You missed requeered. Good evening to Chess Bunzo, good to see you here. We're just going through some of my games from SPC. So yeah, he could have been requeered for another 29 points. But requoted was what he found, 89. Again, a very strong start to the game. The next move, I have this rack. So I'm looking for an L. There's no L's. But because he gave me a lot of time on the first move, I mean, on his first move, I had plenty of time to look at the existing floating tiles on the board through fee odds. And there was a bingo playable through the D of Fiat, which was Godspeed. And now that he put requoted in a spot where he blocks the D but gives me a better space for the D, I have Godspeed for 102 now. So it was almost a no-brainer to play that for 102, and that came down. Relatively straightforward move there, if you can find it. Next move, Wasim actually bingos again. Homages, 78 points. So he's still in front. And then I have this rack, kinda close to a bingo, but not quite. Nothing that really kind of scores too good, but until you look at the H and was like, we look at the H and we're like, well, I think lunch is probably the standard play here, and that was the best play. Keeping ELT, not too bad. Is Godspeed only? I mean, okay, so you're saying that requoted and Godspeed are cons only. Does Godspeed take an S? I probably should have checked this a while ago, but I guess it doesn't feel like it probably should. Oh, it does take an S. Okay, okay. I would have chickened out, yeah, because it doesn't feel like anyone is ever going to say Godspeeds, like in any conversation whatsoever. Like, why would that take an ass? But it seems like it's a noun, so okay. Okay, cool. Alright, so yeah, lunch comes down, and after 3 moves, my 3 moves, his 2 moves, were 167 apiece. So now I'm like, I'm just happy that he's just started with 2 bingos, and I'm still tied here. I'm still tied, so I'm happy about that. Just sitting here until he then plays XI for 54. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. Okay, I'm gonna have to catch him up again. But the problem here is that wait, that's not the right rack. I have this rack here. I have glitter, and there's no space for it. So I'm like, ooh, okay. So this is one of those racks where like glitter is going to score you as a bingo like 65 or 70 points, and then the move that will not give you 65 to 70 points is probably like 20 points. So I'm like, I really really was hoping that there was something here that I just couldn't see, but I just couldn't see anything because there wasn't anything. But yes, I ended up playing the best move according to the engine here, and that was Guilts for 21, keeping ERT, opening the top part of the board. Yeah, just getting rid of the GL and T off my rack that I didn't necessarily need, and for 21 points, so it's okay. Next move. Curious here because we're seeing plays piked. 34 points. So he took a bit of time and then played piked. Maybe he's blocking the Z. That's obviously he doesn't have because for ZE. Because he could have just played piked down from the P and got a lot more points. Well, 4 more points. So I'm now like, he really wants to get rid of this P. Or maybe he just didn't want to open up the board too much, I don't know. But I can only assume there's a bit of defense here. But he played piked. 34 points. Again, just like the Godspeed move where the D of Fields was blocked. It was the same again here. I had retooled onto the D of Godspeed, but then he ended up providing a different D for piked to play retooled again. So relatively straightforward move. There's only one player with bingo retooled through the D of piked, and that is what I did. After a little bit of thinking, he ends up playing through the L here with Talc. Only 21 points, so I was like, okay, well that could have been worse. He could have had the Z, he could have had an H or an F or whatever, and could have been a bit more problematic on the good old scoreboard, but it was fine. It's okay. I don't particularly draw too well here. I have this rack, and yeah, it's another Colin special. It's Uwu, time for the Uwu move, and yeah, I decided to play. Oh, I actually don't have it. I don't have. I seem to be using Quackle that doesn't have CSW24, since I do usually analyze my games on my condo. So I'm only using this as more of a visual thing for you in the chat now. But Uwu would play here. So I'm gonna add this to the candidate moves, and also Uwu plays underneath here. So I did consider both of these moves. So I'm gonna actually, spoiler alert, all the other moves are not that good, so I'm gonna remove them all. They're not that great. But the fact is, you can see, this is a small learning point, but Uwu down here, I mean, you could say arguably it gives away things underneath, right? It's scores 18, it's 5 fewer, it's not that bad. It doesn't really give away too much, right? On the face of it here, for 23 points, it's not that bad either. But the fact is, there's only 4 E's left, and if you kind of left this alone, is actually you're now needing an E to play onto the triple here. But if you put the U here, now that you can put the E, you can put the B, you can put the N, you can put, are there any other tiles? I don't know, but there's a lot of those tiles still around right now. Especially the N, because then you could put something like NT, ND, or whatever, I don't know. Well, I guess there's no D's here, but, or NE. There's a lot more options now if you put that U there, and it makes that triple a lot more easy to use. So when you simulate this move, you can see here the percentage. I mean, once we kind of let it shake out a little bit, the 5-point difference here between Uwu underneath Godspeed and Uwu next to Retooled, it's not much. It's not much, but you can see that it is not worth the 5 points to play next to Retooled, and actually making this triple a lot easier to use. So you just sometimes you would have to kind of just step back a little bit, look at it, and be like, wow, this is actually giving my opponent a lot more options to play to, and actually gives away a lot of things. And also, like, maybe on the other side of Uwu as well, like something like, I mean, something like Jane or something, kind of, well, you can also play on this side, but there are some other things that could play down here as well that probably wouldn't have been available. So just have to be mindful about those things, and you can see now that it's about a 0.1% behind because of how much it gives away. So that's an important thing to do. I didn't consider that at the time. I did consider it at the time, but I didn't think it was that bad. But clearly the engines are in agreement here, and they don't like this position of Uwu, despite it being 5 points more. So I played Uwu, and of course the reason why it didn't like it was illustrated in Musim's next move. He played Vint, V-I-N-T, which wouldn't have been possible otherwise, but he gets a cheap 34 points from it. 34 points from it, and he still keeps his 40 point lead. What is the evaluation on the quackle? I think it's kind of well, someone can correct me if I'm really explaining this right. Is it kind of like the net average, kind of like net score, like differential? Well, I mean, I put it to 5 ply, so it's kind of 5 moves in the future. So really, because it's in the negatives, it thinks that after these moves, I'm probably going to be losing points overall in that time frame. Does that mean that you shouldn't play Uwu at all? Well, the fact is that if you don't play Uwu at all, you might be even more into negative. Yes, it's giving. It wants to look at your next opponent's 3 moves, so that way they will They will have more times to score points, right? It's the 5 moves after this move, which of course will mean more moves for your opponent. Yeah, I don't. I'll be completely honest. I do not necessarily know if 5 ply is really the best way to kind of really analyze every move. I've just been told that 5 ply is generally more accurate. You can obviously play it with like 2 ply and just be like, what's your opponent next move and my opponent and my move, because at the end of the day, like, what you draw from the bag is going to change so many different ways in 5 turns. Like, how, like, I can't, no one's going to be able to predict what's going to happen in 5 moves, especially in the middle of the game. Like anything can happen, right? It's obviously going to be more accurate when you come to the end of the game, because there's fewer tiles in the pool to really choose from. But I've been told just from well, Cesar, who's in charge of Macondo, he said just 5 ply seems to be more accurate. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go with that. So yeah, any even number would make the evaluation number better, because then you and your opponent in the future would have the same number of moves, so it would look better. But it still doesn't hide the fact that if you did an odd number of moves, that kind of thing would happen, right? That is going to happen. It's just really depending on how far in the future you want. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, that's not it. I have this rack here. Relatively straightforward play. I'm looking to get rid of the A, L, and N, and I have a move here that is Clan for 31. High scoring play. That is the best move here. Wasim actually plays a really nice move here in between Pike and Tower. He plays Barite for 32. Not a move that I wanted to see, because it doesn't give away anything and scored a lot of points. I'm looking at this board and I'm like, how can we squeeze out the number of points on this board as much as we can? But yeah, it was not great. Also because I had a J here that could have potentially been used, but he ended up blocking that too. So here we have some options. We have things like J here underneath Fiards. There is again another Collins word here, well, CSW24 word of Yaji that would play underneath here, that scores a little bit more. Again, it's not in here in the list because this is not CSW24, but it comes up well, one on top statically. But if you analyze this move, it doesn't do well at all. And I really didn't like how Yaji was actually played on the board, because it's really likely to give away a lot of points underneath, because now you're just kind of giving them extra points with the J. And now that you put the A here, because G or GI would go here, or GU, there's no U's left. But now the A, the E, and the O, almost every vowel that's unseen to you now plays there. And there's a Y, there's a W, a B, all those things would have played underneath the O anyway, but now you're giving even more points away. You're giving literally 10 points away with doubling the A and the 8 points for the J and more options. So it doesn't like this quite that much. So it likes Jai, for example, playing here, because you keep the A and the Y, so you actually can play something underneath. But I think that your opponent will probably play there anyway, so it's not the worst move in the world, but I just spent a bit of time and I didn't really like any of the options, but this is the one I came up with. Okay, so weirdly he decides to play OR, but he plays it here, making frag for 16 points, rather than playing it under here, which would have been 24 points. Just note, well, you have to bear in mind that we don't know his rack, but there is a blank and an S unseen to me. So the fact is, if he had an S and a blank, he probably would have played this, right? Because there's no danger after draw that your opponent is going to come back with something underneath it, because you're holding the S and the blank. So the fact that you played it here was curious, because now it's like he doesn't have both of those things. And if you get the blank, he probably wouldn't use it to play frags. So the most likely thing that he probably has after this move is that he probably has the S, and he's doing this because he's in the way. He can quite safely play frags underneath, going to the left, and not open anything up, and keep his lead. And if he has any kind of 4-point, or even the Z or whatever, 4-point tile, then he's going to score like 40 points here. To couple that with whatever lead he has right now after this move, which would be a 29-point lead, and then he gets another 40 points after that, and he's still in good shape. So he plays OR here. And I don't and I still don't draw in, again, I mean, I don't draw into any of those things, so I have this rack here, and I'm in trouble now, because there are not that many ways to come back with a bingo. I'm now, I'm now 31 points behind. There's the G and the I up top, which don't score anything if you want a bingo, and I'm waiting for this S to come down. So I know that something like that's going to happen. So now it is time that if he doesn't have the blank, I think the blank might still be in the bag, and I need to go after it now. He just played 2 tiles. He probably doesn't have it. I need to go in the bag and go get it now, and you just have to be bold sometimes, you know. You just have to go for it. So I'm now looking at this P. I'm just trying to open up part of the board, and I really need to get rid of the N and the Y, and not keep too many vowels or too many constants. So end up coming up with the idea of playing Piney, keeping A and T, which is really good. No T's left, and 1 N left, and 3 A's. So not overly likely to duplicate things, or even if it's duplicate A's, it's not that bad. Piney is the best play according to the engine. Then he plays Y's, W-A-I-S, and frags. So it came down. This is not a surprise to me. 40 points, and he goes up to 400 points. So he's now 38 in front. So after Piney, I kept A and T, remember? So, and I was like, okay, well, I said I might go for the blank. Fortunately for me, I did draw the blank. And not only that, I also drew the Z as well, which is really important. Really important tile to have, especially if you can't bingo, especially if you're behind. The Z, especially in Collins, really worth a lot of points here. 14 tiles on scene. The tiles left, not great. Not great. Okay. Well, sorry. I just updated the tiles left now. I mortgaged my house for a Z. Yes. If it was getting to dire straits like that, I probably would also. But luckily, I managed to draw it now, and sometimes it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, you're just breathing an internal sigh of relief here that you have something. But not only that, right? I have 2 A's. I drew an F, which is not great, but I can now play Waft here and keep my Z and N for the end game. Waft is the best play according to the engines, and it puts me only 8 points behind. I'm not in bad shape. So Wasim now has. I actually know his rack from after the game. He told me that this is what his rack is. He has Amorini. It doesn't play anywhere, so he has no bingo, playable bingo. Ignorami does not play onto the G of Guilts. The V is in the way. He's in a spot now where 4 tiles are in the bag, and you can see these tiles. This is from Wasim's point of view. This is the tiles that are left. Not particularly great for bingoing, but there are a lot of dangerous tiles from his point of view that could still come out and could still bite, right? So from his point of view, actually, he decided that he wants to try and go for the blank himself, or the Z, or whatever good tiles that are left, and also not give me another chance to fish for bingo. So he decides to play Furman here. Furman. 26 points. It will put him up by 34. Going into an end game where he will draw 4 tiles and we'll have 6 tiles left. Again, 6 tiles is not that easy to go out with unless you have the right tiles and the right board. Not that open in this board, so likely that he probably won't be able to go out. So Furman is an option here. So if we generate choices, let's see. It actually doesn't even come up on the list. So if you type in Furman, here there's 26, and you simulate this, it jumps right to the, or almost right to the top, because it really likes the idea of not being able to And you can see by the win percent, I've just stopped it for now, of the idea of what you're trying to do here. I will also point out there is another option that we'll play here is Furion, and I'm going to simulate that also by keeping AM. So Furion is also another option, according to Macondo, that this is another option that would be possible in this situation. I guess with the M, if you draw like the V and the B and whatnot, then it's not great for you. But if you draw those things anyway, then you might you might already have lost. But still, these are the options, and again, I think that Wasim had the right idea in terms of playing off more tiles. So let's go forward here. Furman is what came down. And I have this, so I kept ANZ blank. I have this rack. I drew EHO. He has BEEIOV. A somewhat ugly rack here, even though that he is 34 points in front. I have a little bit of time on my side to have some time on my side to kind of think of what I should be doing here. I need to find an out and two that will give me a way to win. Again, the first things that you would need to think about, I mean, again, if it was something similar to the Sammy game, is figuring out what your opponent's best options are. So with BEEIOV, the main things that I could see as of right now was the board as it is something like Evo for, what is that, 19? Or something like Blythe that scores 14, getting rid of both of his big tiles. Kind of even-ish if you kind of just go with value of score minus what he's leaving, so kind of about the same. It's not, there's not one that way you need to block this because it scores a net score of a lot more than the others. But with the Z, with the blank, and some other good tiles, it feels like I should be able to find a way here to find an out and two that scores well enough to outrun those things. There were some ways to win this game. So let's ask the championship player here, what can it come up with? So actually, in the grand scheme of things, there are not all that many ways to win. So the best of all is to play Senza for 32. This was 32, and you get OH next to lunch for 22. There's a net of 54 points. Yeah, things like Apison. Keeping the H, I guess you would play the H like Hate here. That scores what, 20 points, so net of 57, something like that. So there's things that would score well and allow you to, you know, outrun an opponent here. But you would have to see that almost all these moves that are 100% involve using the blank on the first turn of the out and two sequence, which is something I actually recognized very early on, because I'm like, I don't think you can just sit on the blank and just play it at the end. It's like you're going to need to use the flexibility of this blank to put yourself in a good enough position for the second move where it doesn't even matter what your opponent does. Like, you just need to use this blank and just use it, get some points, and make sure that you leave yourself with AH or OH or something to win. And fortunately, with about 5 or 6 minutes on my clock, I did find a winning out, one of these winning outplays. It wasn't the best one, but I found Sean for 20 points. It did give away a little bit, potentially a little bit more, because it would give away Obe underneath, which is counting against it by maybe 2 or 3 points. But this is an outplay that wins. So I played Sean. Here. Taking him up to 412. He ends up playing Obe underneath it for 25, putting him up to 451. I'm 39 points behind. He has 12 points on his rack, so I would need at least 28 points to win. And fortunately for me, there is a way to win the game, and that's playing Zamia for 34 through Ami. Again, not worth him blocking because he couldn't do anything there that would block this area of the board, and I had ZA down here above Furman for 24 anyway, so whatever crazy thing he wanted to do there, he could try and think about doing here to block that, ZA would still play down here anyway, so I was not worried. So with Zamia coming down, that's the end of the game. I ended up winning. Well, actually he ends up underscoring a move by 2 points, so it was actually a 458-449 victory for me, a 9-point victory against Wasim Khatri. Very tough game, very interesting end game that we both kind of dissected after the game also. So yeah, nice win to come out with there too. So we're going to fast forward here. Okay, so that win put me in 11 wins, 11-4. Down the stretch of day 3, playing Alex Seaholm. This was a game also on stream. I lost by 130. So I'm now 0-4 on the stream now. Down to 11-5. Game 17, played Dennis Ikegaregor. I win this one by 49. Luckily, I managed to bingo get an extra time near the end to keep myself in front. So I'm now 12-5. Game 18 against Sami Okasaga. End up losing this game by 26, 492 to 518. And yeah, it was a game that he almost threw away by playing a phony towards the end. But my bingo at the end did not give me enough good tiles to score well with. And the letters left that I gave back, he was able to score a 40 or 50 point play. So that was a crucial, not so good pull there. Although according to Macondo, I literally had like a 50-50% chance of winning at that point. So it really depended on what I drew at that point. And then after lunch on day 3, I played David Whitley again, and I did end up winning that one also by 142, so 13-6. I played Wasim Khatri again, game 20. Lucky that I managed to bingo 3 times and he didn't bingo at all, so I won that one. Only by 12 points in the end, but a win is a win. 14-6. And then finishing day 3, I play against Winter and I win by about 100 points, so I'm up by 15-6. Day 4, game 22, I'm against Ben Schonbrun. This is my 5th game on stream, and it's the 5th game that I lose on stream. I lose by 82. Again, you guys can watch it back on the stream in your own time. First game of day 4, so I'm now 15-7. Next game I'm playing as Josh Castellano, who wasn't doing quite so well in the tournament as I think we all were expecting him to, and then I had to play him now, so I was kind of a little bit worried that he's now going to start making a final push for the final places, and then he ended up beating me by 11 points. So with that loss, that actually almost put me out of contention for a finals place. But yes, I lost by 11, so I'm now 15-8. And if that didn't put me out of contention, the next game definitely did. I played against Sam Rosen. I lost that game by 86. Most notably, some of you may have seen this game on stream, not on stream, but a picture of it where I played Ossetra, Ossetra, and then he immediately bingos with a 7-tile overlap of Toadied, Toadied, which was enough to win the game. So really well played in that one. Actually wasn't a great deal more I could have done in this game to win based on the tiles I had, but Yeah, that's the third game in a row that I lost. I'm down to 15-9. And before lunchtime, I played game 25 against Stefan Rao. Was losing early on, but then managed to turn it around with an almost 200-point victory. So it was very lucky, second half of the game, that I managed to come back and win that one. Game 26, I'm playing against Dennis Ikegaregor. And yeah, I managed to win that one, 77 points. It was a game actually where I was almost running out of time very early on. But I had 3 bingos to his 0. And yeah, I did a lot of the early damage early on, so managed to hold on for that. 17-9. Game 27 was against Sami Okasaga. It's a win for me, 64 points. And yeah, I came back from behind in that one, and luckily I managed to get a bingo right at the end, and it fit just in the right place at the right time. And that actually ended up putting Sami out of contention for the finals, and that actually locked in Alec and Dennis to be in the finals because of that loss to him. And then game 28, which was the final game of the initial 28 games to make the final, was my 6th game on stream, and it was against Ben Schonbrun, which I also lost by 67 points. Again, you guys can watch it on the stream back if you want to, but I was just fortunate to get 2 bingos near the end just to cut the spread. So I finished that day 4 with 18-10. I've got a chance to win some money at least, but we only have 3 games left whilst the finals go on day 5. So the final 3 games, we got Sam Rosen, game 29. I actually lose this game by 93. And yeah, it was pretty close to start with throughout the mid game, and then he 9-timers me with Tarwine for 167, and it was game over. So yeah, can't do too much about that. Just opened it at the wrong time. And then game 30, I played against Sami Okasaga, and I was just happy to win this game because this guaranteed, I think, me to win some money. And a win of 68 points after I kind of lock things up and then keep things under control for the most part. Muffin Tentacle asking, did you start refusing stream games at some point, or were you desperate to end the skid? I wasn't. I did not refuse to play on the stream. I was happy just to play on stream whenever they wanted me to. I never declined to play on there. Of course, when a losing streak happens like that, I mean, I think it's only natural to kind of, I mean, to some degree, you're gonna end up realizing it, right? Or people are gonna notice that. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't really matter where I play, right? I wasn't playing badly, or noticeably worse than I was normally. So it wasn't like, oh, I have the jitters on the stream and that's why I lost. It's just because I was drawing pretty bad, and it just so happens to be those 6 games that you're watching me. So yeah. Did you ever go back and watch them? I did go back and watch them. You can't watch yourself on film. I do like to watch the things back because I do like to know what people saw or what people were thinking, or in the chat, or what the commentators were saying, just so I'm like aware about it. So sometimes during the lunch breaks, I would just go chill in the room with my daughter Leah. And I would have the stream on whilst I'm eating lunch, and I'm also analyzing some of my other games. So like, at least that way, that's kind of like an analyzed game if someone else is already kind of talking at me about it. So at least that way I'm just aware that there wasn't like there's a billion bingo misses or anything. So I don't really mind it. You know, I've been used to doing this for a long time. You can get superstitious about it, but at the same time, it's like, if they want me to play on the stream, I'm not going to say no. And it doesn't really matter, like, if I was on a 5-game losing streak on stream already, I would be more more hesitant to be playing on stream if I knew I was playing really badly, for example. Like if I knew I was not at the races whatsoever and I was missing all kinds of like very simple moves, then I think that would be the moment where I would say no, I would not do it. I mean, fingers crossed. I don't think I am at that point where that is going to happen all that often, at least. So like there's I don't think I've ever actually declined being on stream ever in my Scrabble career. So like if people want to watch me play, that's okay. And actually I feel like I'm one of the few people where I feel like it does actually help me play on stream because I know that people are watching. So it's like I have to like actually sit up and pay attention to what I'm doing, you know? It's kind of one of those things rather than taking it negatively in a way where it's like, okay, well, people are going to criticize literally everything that I do wrong. It's like people are going to do that anyway, so it doesn't matter. And we're all human, so it doesn't really matter that much. But it's just, you know, it just kind of like gives you an extra like 10% of like, oh, I need to actually like pay attention to what I'm doing here. Not like I'm not doing it anyway, but just you know, it just like makes you sit up and pay a bit more attention. So that's the only reason why, like, you know, I don't feel any certain kind of way about playing on stream. We talked about game 30 against Sammy, where I did manage to win and I managed to cash. There's one more game left, and it's the final game against Sam Rosen, game 31, which actually was arguably one of the most interesting games that I had throughout the entire summer. And we're going to go through that with you now. So this will be, of course, well, it's the final game of the tournament, so it will be the final game that we're going to go through tonight. And we will do that right now. So let's change the names. Okay, and let's reset everything here. This is a very interesting game, so I think this is a good one to end with. So yeah, again, this is like the winner will essentially, well, we're basically playing, well, both third and fourth place, right? Essentially playing for third place here, unless Ben Schonbrun, who is in fifth place, can win by a lot of points in his game against Samuel Kosaga, and then he would overtake us, or overtake me, I guess, in this case. Or if I lose to no, actually that's the only way that he can make it, yeah, because Sam actually had a half win ahead of me. Anyway, let's talk about the game. My first rack, don't draw well. Could play aha, or I could exchange, so I'd rather exchange. I decided to exchange AAAO. Yeah, I said that right. AAO, keeping Ash, looks like a very strong leave. Keeping the SH together is actually really good. According to Macondo, this is the best thing to do. So Draco, good evening to you. What if there was a secret extra round? If you did, I think there would be a little bit of an uproar, but you know, I'm not opposed to playing more games if need be. But I say bring it on. So yeah, AAO was actually the best play according to Macondo. Gov was Sam's first play. Okay, what we got here? So I kept Ash. And what do I draw? I'm trying to read my handwriting here. No, what's it saying? One second, let me just double check something. Okay, so I actually had Yes, I had this. I drew E-E-I-N, I think. And there weren't really many great choices here. So yeah, I just played R for 15. Nothing particularly outstanding here, but that was what I did. Oh, don't need to press simulate, just commit this. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, okay, good. Then he plays Woe, W-O-E. Wait, where was this played? 18 points. 18 points. It has to be this one then. So yeah, it was underneath. And then I have one of the highest probability bingos available here, Aniseed, and I play the highest scoring one, 70 points. So I play that, trying not to give away too many floating tiles. He ends up playing Quay, however you pronounce it, 38 points, so we're kind of even again. This is my next rack here. Again, very uninspiring with this rack, but now I'm looking to try and offload some of these vowels, and you know, people might say that the Y is also kind of like a vowel also, but yeah, they're looking to get rid of at least 3 of these. I managed to do a job here playing AUA, A-U-A, for 19, which is one of the best moves available. And then here, Sam plays a 51-point play of Jester, now taking the lead. This is my rack here. Needed some floating tiles for a bingo. Don't quite get that. But here, can't really play it. You know, I could play Joey or something down from the J, but I wanted to play off. Play Typo here for 44 points. It's actually more. And that actually, I think that actually ends up being the best play, according to Macondo at least. So yeah, you can see it now kind of goes up to the top. So yeah, that was what I played there. And yeah, Sam now plays Fenny through the E for 15 points, which was really lucky because I had this rack here, and I had now an N floating tile for Oleander or Reloan, so I picked Reloaned, which was the best of those two. I'm not giving away the 9-timer lane there. And then Sam plays Spun and Quags. And after the bingo, I actually draw somewhat close to a bingo here. Interestingly, there were a few options available, like more or money, but the thing is, money keeps IIR and scores 17 more points, and instead you can play more and keeping EINR, which is a really strong leave. And you can see that if we decide to simulate these moves, despite a 17-point deficit, it's very close when the sim. Because you would probably think that 17 points is a lot of points to give up, but you can see here that the engine really likes playing more. So that's actually what I did. And I keep my 80-odd point lead. Next move, Sam plays Tabby onto Spun using the triple, kind of keeping within the inside of the board there. I almost draw the same rack back again, but I have this rack. So this was an interesting rack here because I could play something like Emit through here, or MI and MI here. But you look at all the tiles that are left, okay, let's not look at the A. Look at the B. You have Merbane. C is Carmine. D is like Inarmed Adermin. E is Remini, which plays above the R here. F is Fireman. Na as well here in this spot. G, lots of bingos. I, okay, in this case I don't have anything. K is Ramekin. L is Mineral, and so on. You got the O for Romaine, R for Mariner, T for Minaret, V for Vermian, W for Wyman, and so on, right? There's a lot of tiles left in the bag here. Give you a bingo if I just play off an I. So yeah. What is wrong with Mana and just win? Wait, what? How does that, what do you mean just win? Because there's a lot of spaces on the board where you can just still bingo here. There's not, it's not shut down completely by any stretch. So yeah, I actually decided to play off the I. I just played off the I here, and I'm like, I think I'm like 80% chance of getting a bingo next turn, or something playable. So I play off the I, which is actually one of the top moves available here. And I was kind of, I guess in this case I wasn't fully paying attention to what Sam was doing, because he played Tabby, he actually plays XI next to it for 50 points. So he catches up a little bit here. And of all of the tiles that I could have drawn to my Marine leave, I end up drawing a one tile fish of the blank. So I picked the blank, and I'm like, oh man, if he's probably going to be thinking, what did I keep? Because anything would have bingoed otherwise about the blank. But this now kind of was made a little bit easier, because in the previous turn, as I just said, I was already looking for words that would play and where they would go, but just now I'm guaranteed to play something somewhere. But I actually end up playing the best move according to, or the best bingo, best position according to Macondo, which was actually Carmine. This would, well, obviously the blank is C here. This is 71 points, puts me up almost by 100. So now looking in good shape. Next move, Sam plays a very sneaky play here. He plays Tsar in the top corner. So here he, you know, there could be Ezo or Dizo hook here, so he does that. So yeah, that's what I do. The point of Mana is to stop all non-bingo scoring, weak bingoing pool, and those that play score little and give a lot back. Maybe. I mean, I don't think I'm actually quite far enough in front to be able to do that though. I'm 57 ahead. So this would score what? I'll probably be like 85 in front. Maybe that would... Okay, so this might be a nuance in NWL, but I don't think that you can really do that here. I don't think that would work in corners, because there are going to be words that were bingos that would play here, and there's still too many places for bingos to come down, and I'm not quite far enough in front. Maybe if I was like... If the score would put me over ahead by like 100 or 110, then I think maybe you'd be right. But if it's like 80 or 85, I don't think that's quite enough, because I could still lose to a bingo and then a bit more. And like half the game is still left to play. So I feel like at that moment in time, just going for another bingo was actually going to be better, because then I'd just be, in theory, I would just be further in front. And I would take out one of the spaces that plays him. So yes, Sam just played Tsar. And let's see. I have this rack here, so I'm looking at this now, and he just played Tsar. I don't have an A. There's one A and two Ds left and a blank, and I'm like, I can't really do anything there. I kind of have to address these floating tiles that are kind of sitting here. So I play Boo, B-O-O. Whereas things like Boo-I, I don't think are particularly great moves. So yeah, I play Boo here. Just trying to take up space and block the C. It's fine. Unsurprisingly, Sam does overlap Tsar and plays Frat for 51. So again, this is kind of also a reason why, like, if you play Maina and he has the Z and I don't have anything, you could potentially still lose. And then if he has potentially a bingo that just randomly fits, because I can't block anything here for many points. So yeah, he does that, and he's actually now only 25 points behind. And not only that, I have really bad tiles now. I have this. I just drew LLU to my rack, and I'm kind of looking at this board, and I'm like, I don't really quite know how I'm going to score points on this now. So, yeah, again, I don't particularly love the move that I have, but I decided to play Rule. Where is it? It's right here. I played Rule, but I just to get rid of these bad tiles. Let's just try and start again with this rack. There's things like Yule that might be slightly better. Setting up the R that I have, it's just dangerous, especially with lots of other tiles that can hook Yule. So I decided just to, just do this. Second best move according to Macondo. And then Sam plays Dreg through the E here. 18 points. 20 points behind now. Dreg didn't take too long to come down, so I'm like, he probably has a few too many consonants. And yeah, I have this rack now. And importantly, there's only 5 tiles in the bag. I'm 20 points in front. And the letters left are not particularly great. There's only 3 vowels. So that does check out with the fact that he probably doesn't have many vowels. Or if any. So actually after the game, he actually did tell me he wasn't holding any vowels whatsoever. So that actually was true. But here, I don't have any bingos here. And he got to a point now where I was like, whatever I do, again, some of you might disagree with what I did here, but I could still play something like Lid or something, which would contain a few things, but Slid is good, Olid is good, there's a blank left. He could potentially score a lot of points next to Lid and be even, and I'm not in good shape. I could play something longer, but then I'll give away some other things. And there's no real good way to actually score points otherwise on this board. So now I was actually thinking, what would an engine do? And I'm thinking, I have to make an engine play here. Even if I don't think I like this, and I'm not overly comfortable with it, I don't think that... also, I don't know if this is Collins or what, but Oda is also good. So Oda here, there's one O left, is also good. So maybe, I don't know if that might change your mind. But I decided to make a play that was an engine play, and it was uncomfortable to make, but I was like, I have to just be strong. I have to be strong here. Go for it and be confident, and hopefully that this will work out. And I have to take the have to attempt to take the emotion out of this move. So there's 5 tiles. There's 5 tiles left in the bag. And I was like, well, I could try and threaten a bingo here myself, because I am actually holding 3 vowels. I'm holding 3 vowels, and there's only 3 vowels left in the bag, so like I could end up drawing into something with what I have. And what if I just try and play off 4 tiles? So I decided to play 4 tiles here and score some points. So I played Libent. Here. Again, ED ending is available here. I have the D for da. I'm holding an I. I could potentially draw into something here as well. Any bingos that would play here is likely to play on R anyway. So I'm now putting myself slightly further in front. So even if he does like score well here, I might still be in front, and I will leave 1 in the bag. So it's very difficult to, maybe a bit more difficult to kind of work out what to do here. And I'm also, I don't know if there's anything that would come down here, but there might be something with the T. So yeah, I decided to play an engine play. This was not comfortable to make. So I mean, if we ask the championship player, see what, would it come up with anything? I'm gonna run it and see what it says. This was not necessarily the best play, according to Macondo. It did lose about 3% of win percentage. I just can't remember what the actual move was. Okay, the championship player is almost done here. So, the championship player likes Libent. Simulate some more. There it is. Well, according to these moves anyway, at least. But yeah, I mean, in any case, Libent gives you a good chance of winning. So I was like, this is not something that I don't think many humans would play, but I was like, I think I have to go for it here. So I did that. So yeah, that's what I did. Okay. And I am now 40 points in front. So, yeah, what was Sam's next play? Well, he scored 96 points for the next play. He played Cackles. He played Cackles here for 96. Again, this would still have played, and Sego, again, a lot less, but it still would have played as well. But 96 points is what happened here. So now I'm down by 56, and I have this rack here. So this is the he has a W left, and I'm 56 points behind. At this point, I have about let's see, about 4 minutes left, I think, on my clock. So yeah, I have to think about what to do next. Until I realized that actually he can only play the W in one place, and it's right here. he actually had no other place to play the W. So after looking at this multiple times, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's possible for me to W stick him. Who would have thought a W stick might come down to this in the last game of the tournament? But now I'm having to frantically find a winning sequence here with a W stick in about 5 minutes. Probably about 5 minutes. So first of all, that would involve playing something across here, looking at all the options that I have with my V. I don't have many places for my V either. So things like Ave gives me EW, or We, or Arvo gives OW. Something like Avid does work as well. Things like that. Or do I just play off a D here and just try and play the V somewhere else? That's another question. Kind of did a roundabout kind of thing here in terms of like, what should I be trying to what is the most easiest thing to get rid of here, or hardest thing to get rid of, and what scores more points, until I see like Yeed down here that scores really well. So then I was like, okay, well, I think I have to play Avi, until I completely forgot that Avi was a word, and I was like, I could just do this, which I think is going to be the first move. I mean, I have to play this here. So yeah. Okay, so I have to come up with a sequence in a very short amount of time. So Avi was the first thing to do. Again, wait, I need to accept this because it's there. Okay, so I'm now 410, and then he can't play anything. So back to my turn again. I have this. So yeah, I'll go through what I end up doing first, and then I can tell you what probably should have happened. But I play Yeed here for 29. Puts me at 439. And then I play Tut for 4 points. This is just something that I had to work out in a matter of minutes, so that's what I did. And then the next move was KO. So important, I had to do KO last because of Cow. So that was important for that. And yeah, end up winning this game 457 to 453. Is Yeed then Yeed? So yes, I actually during the end of the game I ended up writing that on my score sheet. I don't know if you can see it. I wrote something on the side of it saying Yi. I don't know if you can actually, if it's even in focus or not, but you can see it says Yi, then Yi. It would have been +5. So I actually ended up noticing that like at the end, or just slightly just after the game, because I was like, if the score was closer, I might have needed that. But the optimal endgame here would actually have been Avi, and then you play Yi, as you said. So if we go through it, that is what I would do here, and then a pass. So again, this is a 4-point victory. What is actually what happened? And then you end up playing Yeet, Y-E-E-T instead. I did consider playing Yeet. That was the what should happen here. Oh, sorry. Wait. This is not supposed to be challenged off. Yeet. Yes. No. Okay. So yeet comes down, so it's Avi, then Yi, then yeet, and then the D goes down here for Tabid. I didn't even notice this. The spot for Tabid puts me up to 452, and then 450, then KO again for 466. So I should have won by 13 points instead of 4 points. It's a 9-point error with Yeed as the problem, as the slight misstep here. But I kind of had the right idea in terms of what the optimal endgame was. I just didn't have enough time to quite fine-tune it to what it should have been. But yeah, I'm happy that I managed to find something in the end that actually worked. Again, you could argue that maybe I shouldn't have played Libent. I should have done something else. But at the same time, you know, it's hard to tell what would have happened. Five Crab is asking, what's the threat with Oda? I guess there might not have been much, but if you played id, for example, Klek is also a word in Collins, so Klek and Key, I think the scores will be pretty much even by that point. I might actually be behind. 12 points, I'd be 32 points in front, and then Klek would actually put him 2 points in front. And actually in this case holding an S and a blank and with an open board. There might be, I mean, he would have actually have picked out, it might actually he might have drawn, well, potentially it would have been there would have been 3 in the bag, so he would have had S blank and then 3 other tiles, and with like the E, the C, L, and the E in this position, it would have been easy for him to actually just go out. So that could have been the problem there. If you want to do something like that, you might have had to play like some other tile here, but you might end up giving away more points. So yeah, that's what happened if you play id. You might just get outrun a lot of the time. Especially if you play Libent, the possibility is that the S or the blank might still be in the bag. It could potentially still be in the bag. And you could draw them yourself, whereas 2 tiles you might end up not drawing anything. So that's the kind of thinking that I had. Again, it was very much a an engine kind of play, but I was like, I have to take the how to do it. So yeah, fortunate that I managed to go out there and have the W to be stuck with. The V would also have been stuck in this case as well, just based on how the board was. But yeah, lucky to win this game by what ended up being 4 points, taking my record up to, what was it, 20-11. Problem was, Ben Schonbrun beat Sami Okasaga in the last game by 200 odd points, so what was the playoff for 3rd place in this game ended up being the playoff for 4th place, because Ben overtook us all. Actually, incidentally, Ben's spread was actually pretty bad, but he ended up winning his last 2 games by 200 points each, so he ended up overtaking me on spread. So yeah, ended up in 4th place in the end on spread. So yeah, could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot better maybe too. But yeah, didn't play overly terribly at least, so that's nice. So yeah. So yeah, that is pretty much it for my kind of stream tonight. I hope you enjoyed the games that I went through. Probably went through, again, these kind of a little bit longer than I anticipated, but nevertheless, all good. So yeah, again, thank you all for watching tonight. Again, if you're not already a follower of the stream or this channel, then please hit that follow button right now. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can always become a subscriber. If you have Amazon Prime, then you can use your free sub here. That will also be great. Please consider that too. Or you can give some bits. Completely up to you if you want to do that too. But yeah, otherwise, that is it for my stream tonight. I think what my plan is, because I have a bit of a card box backlog now, on Tuesdays I'm going to do another series of Infinity Wars Underground Racing Tuesdays, because this will also help my card box die down a little bit and be in much better shape in the lead up to Crescent City Cup, which I know is a long time away, but if I can get it under control early rather than let it run out of control the next couple of months and then be in a race to get it under control before the tournament, then that's what I would do. So yeah, that's what's happening. You weren't keeping up with your card box during all those tournaments? Actually, I was not, unsurprisingly, but I was actually keeping up with analyzing all the games throughout the tournament. So actually I had analyzed all the games before I actually got home. All 62 games, I had actually I analyzed all of them before I got home back to New Orleans. So that actually saved me a lot of time, you know, doing it all at home or racing to get it done before the streams. So that was at least nice. So yeah, we'll be working on my card box, and you guys can do some Infinity Words whilst I do that for maybe, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks at least, I guess. I don't know. I've got about 9,000 questions on my card box due right now, so I've got a lot of catching up to do. And then on Thursdays we might do some kind of gameplay on Wiggles. I don't really quite know what yet, but we've been constantly playing the best spot for a long time now, so maybe it's time for something else for the meantime. But yeah, that's about it. So again, I hope you guys will be around on Tuesday night to watch the next stream. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis stream for today, from the SPC, and also on Tuesday the analysis stream from World Cup. So I guess I should say my good nights. I'm going to leave and I'm going to raid somebody. Oh, I guess we can quickly raid Exit Typo. Looks like he's doing some singing or doing some music right now, so I'm going to, he might actually be ending relatively soon, but let's go raid him. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you around soon, hopefully on Tuesday. Until then, take care of yourselves and good night.